Hello and welcome to the Nick Lugo Show. Today you will experience Dr. John Giordano, a leading researcher in the field of alternative medicine and treatments for addiction. He was addicted to just a tremendous amount of drugs from the age of 20 to 37. And he was really a functioning cocaine addict, alcoholic, you can name it all. And he was really just a part of it. His dad was a heroin addict. His uncle, he said, killed the caterer at his wedding, because he was in the mafia or the mob or whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure. And well, he was molested as a child. He had all these background problems that really led him to be an addict. If you really were to chalk up his life and imagine the potential directions where he could have gone, addict was really, really just maybe the only path for him. And he got out of it. At the age of 37, he was able to, get out of it, go to rehab, change his life for the better, and then start up a rehab facility with $300 in his pocket, and ended up selling it for $45 million. The people who get out of those rehab facilities have about a 5 to 8% success rate. His facility had a 70% success rate in, getting out of addiction. So he essentially spends all of his time. He's about 75 now, so he's been doing this for about 40 years, and he explains all of the alternative medicine that he uses to, help people. He's open to essentially everything, and he's currently working on a $1 billion project on alternative medicine, and really being able to increase our success rates. We look at something like addiction and we say, oh yes, traditional treatment will really help us, but in reality, Alcoholics Anonymous will get you to that 5 to 8% success rate, and that's really about it. So, I present to you Dr. John Giordano, who will, eventually explain to you how he could really fix addiction in the correct way, in the proper way. And when I say proper, I mean in the stuff that works. So if you're interested in the story, he has a great one. And if you're interested in some good lessons, some amazing ways to live your life, he's really got it. So I present to you Dr. John Giordano.
So I'm doing this project that I'm working in. I'll give you the name. Let me make sure I get it right. LegacyMedicalHoldings.com.
Okay. Is that a company?
That is a company that what they're doing is so cool, man. They want to change the way medicine's done. So they're building, they just broke ground in Miami on one of the buildings. Okay. And they have other buildings in different parts of the country. All right, and one in Puerto Rico. And these a bunch of billionaires got together. And I'm on the advisory board with other doctors, it's like hilarious, right? So I said, do they know who I really am? I mean, I don't understand,
Yeah.
What they're doing is for the first 7 floors of the building, it's all the latest alternative medicine that's done all around the world.
Okay.
And the rest of the building is condos and hotels. So you got some of the top researchers and scientists and people from all over the world are going to put these hyperbarics, amino acid therapy, gene testing,
acupuncture,
biofeedback, acupuncture. Heavy duty research, different types of acupuncture. Yeah. There's one that goes on your ear, and it's electrical also, and it's good for pain, and it's good for detox. These are the latest therapies out there. Most people don't know. Gene splicing is another one.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's the thing. A lot of it is just so taboo. You think of something like acupuncture. You think of hyperbarics. I had never heard of hyperbarics before I started getting into your stuff, and it really blows my mind. And you also said there was this thing called Ibogaine, IBO.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm one of the leading experts in that with Dr. Deborah Mash, who's a pioneer in Hyperbaring medicine.
So now let me ask you. So, you are very anti-traditional, right? Because you're...
No, let me explain.
Yeah.
I'm for what works.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't care what it is. It's always good to mix the East and the West together.
Yeah.
When do you want to start taping this?
Oh, no, we're going. We're going.
Oh, we are going. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we were going.
No, you're good. We're just, I always, we get the conversation flowing.
Oh, okay, man. I'm good.
Yeah, no.
So there are a lot of things that you got to understand something. The pharmaceutical companies, okay, a lot of times the FDA doesn't approve this, doesn't approve that. Well, who do you think pays the FDA? What do you think the pharmaceuticals, how do they get their things through the FDA? They got to pay them to do the research,
Yeah.
That's where they get their money from. So I always learned early from the streets, he who has the gold makes the rules.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying that a lot of this stuff is clouded in institutions.
Well, let's look at it this way. Look of how many Zantac, look what happened with that. Cancer causing. Didn't it go through the FDA? Oh, we just found out it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Celebrex. Oh, people getting heart attacks. Oh, that went through the FDA too. Oh, how come it doesn't work? Come on. What's going on here?
Well, that's one of the things that I always had problems with whenever I got into things like pharmaceuticals and taking drugs. You said that you're 75 years old and you don't take any drugs, and pills in the morning, anything like that. And it just blows my mind that, like a big part of our structure is, okay, just take a pill. Don't worry about it. That's the end of it.
Well, here's the deal. Kids your age, I don't know, how old are you? 23, 22?
20.
Huh?
20.
20. Okay. So you're in your 20s. Unfortunately, a lot of young people like yourself, they're in college, and Adderall is the king of the kings.
Yep.
Everybody's taking Adderall because I can't focus. Oh, I can't do it. And the problem with people today is, first of all, maybe you should ask yourself, why can't I focus? I mean, instead of, let me fix it. Well, what are you fixing? You're not fixing anything. You're fixing the symptom.
Yeah.
And it's going to cause you other problems.
Well, that's one of the things that really blows my mind. We talk about addiction, and of course you're an addiction specialist. And well, what about like our smaller addictions that really, really kill our focus? Like, I'm not sure how much you study social media and their impacts.
Listen, I'm 75, but I'm like 20. Most of my guys at my age, they don't even know what a computer is.
Yeah.
They know how to build a computer.
Yeah, well, that's
really. I had one of my clients build computers, and he didn't have any money, so I gave him therapy, and he taught me how to build computers.
Wow, not bad.
Yeah. And then look, here's the bottom line is this. For instance, I give you an example: attention deficit disorder, or attention hyperactive disorder.
Yeah.
Most of the kids in college say, I got attention deficit disorder. I can't study. I can't focus. All right. So you want to fix the symptom. Okay. Well, why is it? Okay. It's real simple. Some of the reasons that people have is the heavy metal toxicity. Did you ever hear about that one?
No.
Okay. Heavy metals, look at our water supply.
Yep.
Look what's going on in our water supply. You got lead, you got all kinds of antimony, you got all kinds of different things. All right? So heavy metals, and it's easy to find out if you have that. It's a simple test, okay, to see if you have heavy metals. And if you do have heavy metals, it interferes with neurotransmission. So in other words, your neurons don't connect properly. So you're all over the place. You can't focus, okay? And then when you were saying other addictions, see, I work with Dr. Blum. He's the geneticist who found, I don't know if you know this, there is an addiction gene.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I work with the guy that founded that. It's the DRD2 ALE1 variant gene. Now, if you have the gene, doesn't mean you're going to necessarily be an addict. It means you have the propensity to be an addict. But, okay, there's such a thing as epigenetics. Epigenetics means the social environment can change what is called the gene expression.
Yes.
Okay. So if we look at addiction as RDS, reward deficiency syndrome, what does that all mean? It's a lack of dopamine and serotonin. All right. So when you know what dopamine and serotonin is manufactured, right?
Microbiome, 90%.
Right. Oh, you've been reading all some of my stuff or your own stuff.
Your stuff.
Right. Microbiome, microbiota, that's where this stuff is made. It goes up the vagus nerve into the brain.
So you're saying it's in the gut, right? It's in the
gut is the second brain.
And that's all based off of the food that we eat, the water that we drink, all of that.
All the processed food, all the sugars, all the stuff that we eat and we do, okay, causes all kinds of, see, everybody thinks bacteria is bad. We're made of mostly bacteria. People don't even know that.
Yep.
Okay. So you have to keep a balance of your bacteria in your gut, all right? Because autoimmune diseases, they're finding out, comes from the gut. They're finding out all kinds of depression and anxiety comes from the gut. And I was talking to you about treatment, addiction treatment, why it's 60 years or 70 years behind the times, because simply, number one, they only have people going in 28 days, even if that, okay, which is a joke. That model was based on alcohol, number one, 70 in 1950, okay, by two kids that were going to school. One was going to be a psychologist, the other was going to be a psychiatrist. I don't know how they had no experience, but they came out with this model. They presented it to Hazelden, and Hazelden presented it to the insurance companies. Now, that's the way I heard it. Mm-hmm. It could be a different way, but that's basically what it is. And it's like stupid because, first of all, drugs are much more powerful than alcohol. And drugs actually damage the brain a lot quicker than alcohol.
Yep.
Early on, when I first started in 1985, treating drugs and alcohol addiction, most people that came in were older alcoholics. Okay. And, today it's the young kids, guys your age coming in, because there's not that many just pure alcoholics. There's a lot of people that are also Xanax. They do Xanny bars or Xanax, whatever you want to call them, that boost your alcohol. Everybody's doing cocaine that boosts the Adderall. Everybody's got, and the sad part is you got 93,000 people died last year of an overdose.
Wow.
93,000. We're talking about a pandemic. We better look at the epidemic that's under that.
Yeah.
Because you guys, our youth, is the foundation of our country.
Yeah. I
mean, a lot of our youth is on drugs.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the big problem. When you talk about things like dopamine and serotonin, it really seems like we have a problem with releasing natural amounts of dopamine. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at. And serotonin also, like let's say you're going to do something, let's say you're going into a career and you just really hate doing what you're doing, then you're going to release a very small amount of dopamine. But things
not only that, you're going to get depressed, you're going to get anxiety. Some kids will go into a certain field because their parents push them there. Yeah. Oh, that's the field their parents were in.
Well, we talk
other ones chase the money.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about college, and that's exactly what college is. College is kids who, for the first time in their life, have all the freedom in the world, have no idea where they want to go. And
I was just talking about that.
Yeah, and they
listen. I'm free. I can do whatever I want. If I want to drink, I can drink. If I want to do this, I can do that. And I got a good reason why I can't pay attention because I can take Adderall now.
Well, that's what I see all the time. I see people who have their careers and their classes and everything essentially selected by their parents, right? Essentially selected by their culture. And the problem is it releases such little dopamine. It releases such little, let's say, excitement, stimulation that, it's just a bad decision neurochemically. It's going on social media, doing drugs, drinking alcohol, all of these things release so much more dopamine and they increase focus to a tremendous.
Well, you know what happens also? See, we look, like I told you, addiction is RDS, reward deficiency syndrome. Mm-hmm. That was founded by Dr. Blum, that terminology. What that means is we don't look at this as an alcoholic, this is a drug addict, this is a sex addict, this is a gambler, this is a workaholic, and on and on and on and on. Mm-hmm. We look at it all the same. Some of the symptomatology is different with each one. Mm-hmm. There's an old joke that we have. If an alcoholic is drunk and he robs you at night, okay, and when he wakes up in the morning, he says he's sorry and gives you your stuff back. If an addict robs you at night, the next morning he helps you look for your stuff.
It's about right.
So the bottom line is that a lot of their, fraternities and the sororities and all this stuff, they're breeding grounds, but people are looking to fit in. They're looking to be accepted. They're looking to make their own way, even though they don't know what way to go. Yeah. And it's sad. See, colleges today, to me, I'm sorry, it's not breeding people that are learning things that can help them in life. Some kids don't even know how to make a check out. Yeah. They don't even know how to pay a bill. I mean, it's sad.
Well, that's the thing,
Colleges should be teaching people life skills. Yeah. And directing. If you want to be a psychologist, then you should be studying nutrition. used to be studying other forms of therapy. These are the things that you should have as courses, things that are germane to where you want to go. What's the latest science? They should be giving you classes in that. I lecture to doctors, scientists, neuroscience, all around the world. I've lectured now to over 200 countries. Wow. You will be amazed how most of them don't know anything. They don't. They have a standard cookbook. That's what they know. They know that real well. Little different personalities do a little different things. Like, for instance, hyperbarics. I've been touting hyperbaric medicine. For those who don't know what that is,
explain.
Hyperbaric is founded about a little over 100 years ago. They were used for the bends. When people went down into the ocean for very deep, for long amounts of time, they couldn't come back up because then they would have nitric oxide in their blood. They have all kinds of problems. So they had to put them in these chambers to actually decompress them for hours.
Yeah, and give them.
Then they found out that it's wound healing. Now it heals wounds. And the one I was just talking to, Dr. Harch, was him and Dr. Williamson, is another friend of mine, that went to the Senate and got them to approve wound healing for diabetics in the VA. Hyperbarics also are good for TBI cases, traumatic brain injury. It's good for healing the brain that's damaged.
Yeah.
All right. But the other scientists, there's not enough research. There's not enough this. What's happening is a lot of the pharmaceutical companies, now this is just my take on it, okay, that pay other scientists to poo-poo anything that's going to take away their medicine.
Yeah.
From curing, from prolonging things. I believe people are like walking cash registers. See, maybe, you're in your generation, you're used to seeing, well, take this on TV, take this medication, it does this, it does that. Oh yeah, you could die from it, you're gonna have high blood pressure, but this will cure your arthritis, All right? Yeah, this is what you tell your doctor. I never heard of that. We never saw that on television.
Yeah. It's interesting.
This is what's going on. It's almost crazy. No, Dr. Plum. Anyway, let me get this.
So you did something that was really interesting, which was you created an entire essential treatment center, right? A proper rehab where, what were your success rates? I know the average for a normal treatment center is something between 5 to 8%. What was your success?
Right. We had a 70%, and I tell people, they go, oh, come on, John. I say, look, it's real simple stuff. The way they really, I don't know if you know how they get percentages and when people clean.
6 months out, yeah.
No. They call them up on the phone. Huh. Hey, John, how you doing? Oh, yeah, man, I'm doing great. You use it? Nah, I'm good. I mean, it's like stupid, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you know how we did it? Did you learn how we did it? I don't know if
No, I didn't.
Okay. The way we did it was real simple. I hired a team outside of our treatment center, which was Dr. Blum, the geneticist, found the dictionary, Dr. Schoenthaler from Stanislaus University in California. He made the Sentinel paper, peer-reviewed journal, on 500 adolescents, how nutrition and proper diet decreases behavioral problems and increases attention.
Wow. What's his name?
Dr. Schoenthaler.
Schoenthaler.
So he worked for me too. And then what we did was, because we needed a third party, so what we did is we contracted with a couple of 3-quarter-way houses. This is where people go after they go to treatment. They come out to live in a supervised environment. They have to get jobs. They have to go to meetings and things like that. And they would drop a urine on our clients, those who stayed in town. And they would give us a behavioral report compared to the other clients they got from other treatment centers. Okay. Then they would come to our aftercare program, which we would drop urines on them and see how they were doing. And that's part of the way we found out about our recovery rates for a year. Then we had people that were out of town. Dr. Blum knew some people at MIT. They had a beta program that could tell if you're lying or not by your inflections in your voice, by your tonalities.
Wow.
And they could tell if you're lying or not. So we use that when we got a hold of the clients. A lot of times it was hard to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
But then our third leg of the research was where we contacted the significant others, family members, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, and we got it off of them too. So let me just get rid of. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, so that's how we got our outcome studies.
Wow. I mean, like that will, that's incredible. First of all, for you to be able to get 70%, right? 70% success rate. And as a system too, a lot of the people that I have on here are psychologists who come in and they say, okay, this is how you should treat an individual. This is how individuals should behave. But you really created a very strong system to be able to help multiple people. And one of the things that I sort of, inquire, and this is one of the things that you've been talking about sort of as we've gone on this podcast, is the fact that addiction treatment as a whole in America as a system is very capitalist, but addiction treatment on the same time is very anti-capitalist. And of course, I have no problems with capitalism, but of course, I do have one problem with capitalism in that addiction runs very counter towards capitalism. So I was wondering how you felt about a larger system in the political movement of Medicare for All, because this is something that I've been sort of on the fence about for years, because obviously Medicare for All aligns the incentives a lot.
Okay, let me explain what the problem is.
Go for it.
I worked in a non-for-profit program, okay, where we had homeless people that had HIV and had comorbidity. That means they had mental health issues also.
Okay.
We got our food donated and things like that. But the level of treatment is diminished by the amounts of money that comes into the program, number one. Number two, most treatment centers are treating people the same way they've been treating them for 70 years. And, there's a saying, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
And the reason why that a lot of treatment centers, it's not all on the treatment centers either, is because the insurance companies only pay for a certain way of treating a client. For instance, if you come to treatment, right? And your name is Nick, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Nick, if you come to treatment, I have to put you on medication, whether you need it or not. Now, why? Well, because if you don't need to be on medication, that means you're not sick enough to be in treatment. Now, how do you like that mentality?
Yeah.
So when people come off drugs, they're going to get depressed and anxiety, but it could be temporary. Or they can have what I say, what none of the treatment centers look at. Low thyroid causes depression and anxiety. Leaky gut syndrome, H. pylori infection, causes depression and anxiety. And I'll tell you, listeners, don't believe me. I don't want you to believe me. Go look it up. Low testosterone causes depression and anxiety. Closed-head injuries causes depression, anxiety, and behavioral problems. Just look at our football players.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of co-contributing factors. Hypoglycemia, okay, can cause the same thing. Why aren't we looking at this? Why are we throwing pills at people? It doesn't even make sense. But the insurance companies do not allow you to do certain testing. They don't pay for it.
Yeah.
And then treatment became overregulated.
Yeah, of course. And they're they're not, that's the problem with the incentives, right? Is that they're not in there to help you for the long term, because if you're helped for the long term, then you don't give them any more money, right?
No, you got the opposite. It's the opposite, Nick. You got to listen to this. Insurance companies' job is not to pay you. Treatment centers' job is to get paid.
Yeah.
The model is stupid. If there's a model that's for the physician's referral network, that's for doctors or nurses that IPN, the physician referral network, it's a treatment program that when doctors get caught using, or they have to go, instead of losing their license, they have to go to treatment. Mm-hmm. It's a 90-day program and a 5-year aftercare program. So they got to come back once a week, drop a urine, eyeball to eyeball to see how they are. Okay. They got a 90% recovery rate.
Wow.
So we know what works. Now, the problem is this. What I believe is we should have a 60 to 90-day inpatient treatment for addicts and alcoholics, depending on the severity of the illness. And we should be treating their whole body, doing a thorough, comprehensive medical checkup on them, not just a normal CBC, standard checkup. We should be looking at that. We should look at their diet, what they eat, what they drink. I had a kid in treatment. He was all over the place. He couldn't stay focused. He was like buzzing around. So everybody said it's either bipolar disorder or attention deficit disorder.
Yeah.
So I asked a simple question. I said, what do you eat or drink every day, basically? He said, well, I drink some coffee and some soda. I said, well, what does that mean, some? Well, I have about 3.5 gallons of Coke, because I love Coca-Cola, maybe 4 or 5 coffees. And everybody's wondering why he's all over the place. Nobody bothers to ask.
Yeah.
What do you want? What diet are you on? What kind of food, what kind of drinks are you drinking?
Well, explain. So what effect does it have? So first of all, what are the best foods that people should eat? And if people eat the wrong foods, what exactly is it doing to their behavior?
Well, it's real simple. We already know what listen, I laugh at when we talk about good food. If it usually tastes good, it's probably not good for you, know? Unfortunately. Look, leafy green vegetables, water is paramount. You need to drink at least 1/2 gallon to 3/4 of a gallon of water a day. Why? Because if you're short of water, your brain shrinks in your head.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Okay? I mean, when I say it's common knowledge, I talk to doctors. And when I tell them about the stuff that I'm telling you, they can't argue with me because that's in their wheelhouse. Who's going to argue that a low thyroid can't cause depression and anxiety? Nobody.
Yeah.
See? So when you're talking about the proper food, look what's going on. I'll give you an example. I've been to China a number of times. All right? 40, 50 years ago, I was in China. I had to get a special visa and all this stuff. And I went over the years. All right, the last time I went to China, I think it was like 10 years ago. I'd never seen so many overweight Chinese before. Now they got KFC in there, Burger King, Wendy's. They're eating all American food. Yeah. And they're blowing up and their diseases are changing. We're all about profit. Look what's going on with everything. Now you got, one of my pet peeves now is what's going on with the vaccines and stuff.
Okay, what about it?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of stuff out there that's, people say, we got to go follow the science. I say, yeah, but which science?
Yeah.
There's scientists saying yes and the scientists saying no. Okay. For instance, with me, I look at it this way, and I don't tell anybody not to take a vaccine. I tell people to do what they can. I can do things differently than a lot of other people because I have the knowledge, I have the whereabouts to do it. Most people don't have that. Okay. But I look at life like real simple. My wife, who has a kidney transplant that our daughter gave her.
Okay.
I'm 75. My other friend is 75, and his girlfriend was in the 60s, and she was vaccinated. All 4 of us got COVID at the same exact time. We went to a restaurant 2 days later, we all got it. Right? What did we do? I knew what to do right away. We took Regeneron, okay? Ivermectin, that everybody says, oh, ivermectin, you can't do that. And steroids and antibiotics. You know how long the COVID really lasted, the symptoms and everything? 2 to 3 days.
Wow.
Gone. My wife takes immune suppressants.
Yeah.
So her immune system's compromised. At my age, at his age, come on, man. We're not going into curing people or helping people to get this. Now, they just came out with, now they're increasing Regeneron 50% production, now I just heard. But then what they're trying to do is cut down on the amount of Regeneron you get. I mean, I don't know what the heck's going on. It seems to me kind of like a money trip, you know?
Yeah.
And, with the vaccine, the way I look at it, just for me, not for anybody else, I don't know the short-term effects of it, and nobody knows the long-term effects of it. So why would I want to shoot the dice when I know how to fix it when I get it?
Yeah. I mean, that's the
just
thing.
my take.
Well, here's the thing, like you're very into all of the alternative treatments and all of these
Right.
things. Most people have never even heard of these things.
Right. That's why I say it's only for me, not for other people. And first of all, if it attacks your lungs, the first thing you should be in is the hyperbaric chamber. But people, I got one in my house. People don't have that. That's $50,000-$60,000.
So tell me, is it expensive for somebody to just
do it? It's about $200 to $250 a session. You have to go a minute. You have to go 5 days a week, all right, and 2 days off.
Wow.
And depending on the severity of the illness, that's how many sessions you got to have.
Wow. What are the effects of it? So I know you were talking about, does it increase dopamine, or is that just the amino acid therapy?
Well, oxygen under pressure, okay, heals damaged cells. They just did a study in Israel. Do you know what telomeres are?
Yeah, they're the end of the chromosomes.
Right. They tell you how old you are biologically.
Yeah.
Right.
So when your telomeres go down, you die.
Right. When they get shorter, okay, as you get older, they get shorter. Well, what they found out, if you do hyperbarics, an atmosphere of 2, 90 minutes, 15 minutes up, 15 minutes down, and an hour under pressure, 5 days a week for 3 months, all right, you lengthen your telomeres 20%. Now, let's look at that. That means you went back in time and you became younger.
I'm struggling to interpret that. So would that mean that you end up, by definition, living longer?
By definition, your cells in your body are biologically younger.
Interesting.
Ain't that cool?
I mean, that's pretty cool. It's just like skepticism is beating.
Well, listen, it's easy. It's no skepticism, because here's what you do. You measure the telomeres pre, and then you measure it post. It ain't rocket science.
No, I mean, of course, but
if it's 2 at the beginning and it's 4 at the end, guess what? You're getting 2.
You gain 2, yeah. I mean, it's just, man, like to be able to live 20% longer. That's kind of what you're saying.
No, not to live 20% longer. What that means is biologically you're 20% younger cells. But you can screw that up real easy by smoking cigarettes, eating garbage, okay, and doing drugs and alcohol. But your starting point, your body is at a younger state.
That's really.
I do also. You know what exosomes are?
No.
Okay, I do exosomes also, and I've done stem cells. Now, exosomes are the little bubbles that come off the cell wall, okay, of a stem cell. Okay. And believe it or not, they're the RNA messengers, okay, that carry instructions to the next cell. That's what they're doing with the vaccine.
Okay, yeah.
It's an mRNA a messenger, okay?
So explain to everyone what stem cells are, too.
Okay, stem cells are, how can I pray? Let me see. Stem cells is what our body are a different thing. We can grow kidneys with stem cells. It grows. Different parts of your body grow with stem cells, but they're finding out now stem cells actually can grow. If they're just starting off in a petri dish, actually, they grow different organs now. So now stem cells come from your adipose, which is your belly fat, or your what do you call it? Oh my goodness! In the bone marrow, in your bone marrow, they take it out of there too.
Okay.
And what happens? They also take it out of stem cells out of umbilical cord and placenta. Yeah. Okay. So what I do is there was a research project at the University of Miami School of Medicine, and but they found out that, you see, my stem cells are old; they're not as strong as a young person, which makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But what they've learned is they take young stem cells and they put it through all kinds of tests to make sure there's no diseases and things.
Yeah.
And they mix it with my stem cells. So now I have stronger, younger stem cells repairing different parts of my body, because that's what stem cells can do. They can repair bone, they can repair a lot of things. And the stem cells that I got was from a 30-year-old. Then I got exosomes, which came out of umbilical cord. Okay. And that also helps with inflammation and helps in certain, repair certain things in our body. There is a lot of science that's out there now that's light years ahead of what we were doing. But most people don't know about this stuff.
Well, that's the problem. I do a lot of research on, first of all, I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist,
Well,
which
I'm a hypnotherapist also, right?
are you really? I did
You
not
didn't
know
know
that.
that?
No, I had no
I've
idea.
been doing hypnotherapy, you're not going to believe this, since I'm 14 years old.
What?
I had a doctor in the neighborhood that took a liking to me.
Okay.
Melvin Powers was the first book I ever read on hypnotherapy. I was hypnotizing all the girls in the neighborhood. I'll leave it like that. But it was like pretty well. Matter of fact, as I got older, I kept doing that. Remember Flipper? I don't know, you wouldn't remember Flipper. Flipper was a television show on television. It was a famous TV show with a dolphin and a kid and a family. Anyway, the star of it was this kid, Tommy Norton, who was one of my karate students.
Oh,
And he was under I did some regression work with him.
yeah.
And we brought him back to before he was born. Okay. And it was really scary. And I stopped doing that, by the way. What happened was he was telling us about how he was about who he was in a past life, where he lived. And, we thought it was just made up stuff. And we checked it out. And how the guy died, well, it wasn't made up. It was freaky.
How do you know?
He says, that's enough of this, man. I got scared.
Wait, how do you know that it was? Oh, how the previous guy died. Like,
Right.
wow.
Yeah, it was heavy, man. Then I taught my karate class. I had them all under hypnosis as they were training.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, hypnosis is a very, very powerful form of training the mind to hyperfocus.
Yeah, like that must.
There's when you're under hypnosis, you're hyper-focused.
Yes.
Okay, so nothing else interferes with that. Then you get post, you do post. What do you call it? Suggestions.
Yeah.
Okay. You can give them a training word. You can do all kinds of things with it. You can actually help people study where nothing else would interfere, and their memory, the retention would be much higher.
Well, so tell me, so during your karate sessions, right? I'm assuming it would be like a productive game of Simon Says, right? So
actually, right on the money.
Yeah, right. So do you still do that today, or was it?
No, that was years ago. I was playing with it. Today I do. I redeveloped. If you really want to do good therapy, you ever heard of EMDR?
Yeah.
Okay, eye movement desensitization reprocessing.
Yeah. Move your eyes side to side.
Right. I've been doing that for over 20-something years now. And it was founded by Dr. Shapiro.
Yep.
And my therapist actually was her first student.
Really?
Or one of the first students who taught me EMDR. And so now, in order to be certified EMDR, you had to have a master's degree now. Well, I have a master's in addiction counseling, but it's a certification.
Yeah.
And my therapist taught us anyway because I studied NLP. I also have a master's in NLP, Neurolinguistic Programming.
Yeah.
I do that, also criminal justice specialist. I do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, wow. I mean, one of the things that really just blows my mind is something just like EMDR, right? You look at something like that and you say, how dumb is it that somebody could just literally, with their eyes open, move their eyes from side to side, move their eyes from side to side. Their stress goes down like crazy. Their depression symptoms go down like crazy. And if they're trying to remember an event, let's say a traumatic event, literally, if they're trying to remember the event, an emotionally charged event, and they're doing this little EMDR, then they don't feel it as much. It's like,
now what happens with this is this: I redeveloped the EMDR. What I did was I took NLP, and I took holotropic breathing and the tonalities of hypnotherapy, and I combined it with EMDR. I call it TRT, trauma release technique.
Okay.
What actually happens? I work with people. I work with our wounded warriors. People coming back from Afghanistan, Iraq. I work with people that have been raped, girls have been raped. I work with, police officers that have been in shootings.
Yeah, PTSD.
I get rid of this 20 to 30 minutes, it's gone. The trauma, gone.
The emotional.
Okay? But the way you need to do it is what people don't understand. Certain smells Certain sounds bring memories. Okay, like you're sitting in your car and you listen to a song, all of a sudden you start to tear up with something that song is connected. Or you listen to a song and you like get really happy because you had an event that caused you to be happy, or a certain smell that you remember that caused pain or whatever, and certain sounds. You know, we had a girl. It wasn't my case. It was one of the cases that they talked about. A girl, they did EMDR on her. She was fine. She got raped at one time. She did fine for about a year or two. And then she was sitting in a coffee shop and by a railroad track, and the train went by and it had a whistle. And the whistle triggered the event because while she was getting raped, there was a train that went by that whistled.
It whistled. Wow.
So sound triggers information also.
Yeah.
And smells, touch, taste.
So what exactly do you do to mitigate that?
Okay, well, what I do is this. First of all, I tell them about EMDR or TRT, what I do. I tell them, don't believe a word I tell you. Let's just do it. If it doesn't work, you can laugh at me, but I want to warn you, but nobody has laughed in over 20 years. Okay? You do your part, I do my part. Let's see where it takes us. Now, what you have to be concerned about when you're doing EMDR is you got to watch where people, they tighten their mouth, they move their lips, they'll hold their breath, they'll move their fingers, they'll move their toes, they move their legs, okay? You want them totally still, okay? Not holding their breath, none of things like that. And just to focus on the eye movements.
And I'm assuming you do the holotropic breathing to get them in that state.
When you do the eye movements, what I do, okay, is I have them focus not on the event, I have them focus on the emotional state that's elicited by the event.
Okay.
Now, the reason I do that is because those emotions are also attached to other events that we're not even talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of like you threw a hook in the water and you're pulling up not one fish, but a school of fish.
Yeah.
So what I do is I ask them, I say real simple, I say, okay, close your eyes, get into the state, see that feeling, where you're standing, blah, 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 blah. Then I say, okay, where is it in your body, these feelings? So a lot of times I say my head. I say, well, where else is it in your body? A lot of times it's their stomach and their heart.
Yeah.
So I have them put their hand there to anchor that heart. And then I say to them real simple, okay, if it were to have if it were to have a shape, what shape would it take? Then they would tell me the shape. I said, if it had color, what color would it be? And what does that color represent emotionally? Then I would say, does it have any movement? Does it have any weight? Does it have any smells? Does it make any sounds? So I get all of the different events that the way the brain works in that session, okay? And then we close it out. And then I start doing the technique on them, okay? And then I start trying to enhance what they're feeling, okay? And then what I do is I tell them, okay, I want you to now breathe out, take a deep breath, and keep breathing out. So I have them going, okay? And, all right, I have them hyperventilate. And my simple approach to this is it oxygenates the brain and moves that loop, opens that loop of that PTSD, okay? So it's free. Because PTSD to me is a loop. It keeps looping, you see? Yeah. So now when they look at the event, all right, it's like a glass is there. They can see the event, but the emotions are not attached. Then the second part of it, I do it again with them, and I'm having elicit something that they feel good about, or something they were successful with, or whatever the case may be. And I work it again with them and do that. Then we go and we look at, okay, tell me how you feel now. Bring up the event. And they go, I don't want to. I said, no, I want you to bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so they say, I can't bring it up. And I said, well, I know the next thought, is it going to last? I say, yes. Okay. So they keep saying to me, well, how come I don't feel it anymore? I said, because now you're looking at it from a non-emotional state. And you're seeing it totally different. So that's how I do the technique, basically.
I mean, it's so clever, right? Like I'm following you every single step and I see, okay, each one has a specific purpose. It's genius. Wow.
Well, feelings are not just in your head, they're in your body.
Yeah.
When you have anxiousness or depression, you feel it in the stomach, you feel it in your back, you can feel it in your neck, it's tight. So our body is a whole unit. It's not just the head. I always tell people, if it's only the head, send the head to treatment, leave the body home.
It's true. Yeah, 70% of all physical chronic pain is psychosomatic. So
that's right. And when people are taking these heavy drugs, they still feel pain.
Yeah.
Not as much, takes off the edge, but then your body gets used to the drug, you have to take more.
So let me ask you about
more and more, and then you'll wind up with another problem.
So let me ask you about one form of drugs that I find really promising, surprisingly, because again, we follow what works. We don't follow what's legal. We don't follow what's traditional. Psychedelics, right? And you say you follow Ibogaine. I follow,
All right, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about psychedelics,
That's my favorite subject. When I was using, I used to do psychedelic. I did every psychedelic known to man. The only psychedelic I never did was ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, yeah.
I did peyote, mescaline. I did shrooms or mushrooms. Okay. I did Ibogaine. That was when I was in recovery. I did Ibogaine. I worked with Dr. Mash for 13 years in the island of St. Kitts, doing research on Ibogaine.
Interesting. Okay.
And what Ibogaine does, it's a bush from West Africa. It was used as a rite of passage, okay, to bring people from boyhood into manhood and things of that nature.
Which is very common. Which is very common amongst psychedelics in general.
Yeah. Well, most religions had psychedelics involved with them. People don't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. But they're not for recreation. They're a very spiritual drug.
Agreed.
Okay. It's plant medicine. It's very spiritual. It's not used to have fun with or do on a daily basis. And what we used to do with Ibogaine, and Ibogaine is very dangerous if not done properly. All right? Like any drug. So what we did is we make sure their heart is working properly. We used to put a heart monitor on them for 24 hours. And then we used to do blood work. And then we used to see what's on board, what type of drugs they were using. Because certain drugs, you have to titrate off a little bit before you do Ibogaine.
Okay.
So they don't interfere with the Ibogaine. We would then take them to the island of St. Kitts. We would redo the test to do just a simple EKG, some blood work to see what's on board. Search them thoroughly because addicts, when they go to detox, they get afraid they're going to be in pain. So they look to stash their stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Then my job was to prepare them for their journey.
Okay.
And we would talk about all the events that happened in their life, things that really bothered them, and the way they feel about themselves, to keep it in the foreground.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we would put them in the bed. We would put eye shades on them, headset on them with music, and keep them in a containment field. Then what we would do, we'd put an IV in their arm in case there's any kind of an event, and a heart monitor on their chest to make sure we're watching their heart.
Okay.
Then we would give them a test dose 45 minutes later. Okay, if they tolerated it, we would give them a full dose. And after 8, 10, 12 hours, they would come out of a dream state. Okay, depending if they're a fast metabolizer, slow metabolizer, how their liver is functioning. Then I would debrief them on what they saw in their journey, in their dream state.
Were you interfering as they were going on their trip? Or?
No. You leave them alone. They got to do the work.
Okay.
Addicts, they can heal themselves. Okay. So what we are a facilitator. You see, therapists don't fix anybody. Okay. The bottom line is the addict fixes himself. People depressed, they fix it. All we're doing is giving them a roadmap. Okay. And going where they are, not where we want them to go.
Agreed. Yeah.
Most therapists don't know how to do therapy, unfortunately. And it's what's sad is the mental health people took over the addiction field, and they had no clue about addiction. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. I find the best therapists are people that are actually addicts. Because we know exactly, look, I'm going on 37 years in recovery. I know what they're thinking and what they're going through. And when I talk to them, they go, how do you know this? I said, I thought the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, so your
Ibogaine is 10 on the scale. Ayahuasca is 8. Then you got other drugs is 9, 8 and 7, 6, 5, 4.
Yeah.
As far as what's the king of the mountain? Let's put it that
Potency. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the results?
Huh?
What was the results?
Unbelievable. Addicts would come and I had doctor friends of mine brought their worst client, and they go, John, we love you. We know you're into alternative medicine, but I mean, 24 hours, you're going to detox somebody on methadone, on heroin? Come on. I said, tell you what, doc, come, I'll pay your way. Okay? If it doesn't work, I'll pay your way. But if it does work, you pay your own way.
Yeah.
So they said, okay. So they brought their client, and I just love to sit there and watch their face. Client coming in, he's on a nod. He go, yeah, man, what's going on? I was like, what is this stuff? All that kind of stuff. Stone, right? Within 8 to 10 hours, they come out, hey, how you doing? What's going on? You go, and the doctors would go, I can't. If I didn't see this, I wouldn't believe this.
Yeah.
Whole different attitude, no cravings. Well, you know how it was really got into the mainstream? There was a heroin addict named Howard Lutzoff. Okay, Howard decided to go to Gabon in West Africa, where Ibogaine was, and decided to take it for a new high. And he took the drug, right? Woke up the next morning, detoxed, without any cravings.
Wow.
And he says, being a good addict, he says, wow, I can make a lot of money with this. So he opened up a place in Panama, and he got in touch with Dr. Mash, and Dr. Mash worked with him for a little while, but he was still an addict and still doing his behaviors.
Yeah.
So she left and opened up St. Kitts.
Wow.
And we got in touch with each other, really funny. She had an ad in the paper looking for people to do she had an IRB to do a research, with Ibogaine.
Yeah.
And I called her up and she says, no, but thank you, man, I'm too busy, and hung up on me.
Okay.
So I said, oh, okay. All right. About 3 months later, I get a call. It's her. And she says, oh, it's Dr. Mash. I said, you remember me? She said, well, yeah. She says, everywhere I go, your name keeps popping up. She says, I think you and I got to talk.
Wow.
So that's how it started with her and I.
Wow. So tell me, what were the results? So you have Ibogaine, right? What was the success rates?
The success rates on Ibogaine, she has the stats were mind-boggling. For 30 to 90 days, no cravings. But you had to go to treatment, you had to go to therapy, you had to work a program because you got the behavioral stuff that you got to correct.
Yeah.
And you got to correct the physical stuff also. But it was I don't have the exact number, but it was very high.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that whenever I look at psychedelic studies, usually they're done on normal, healthy individuals. They're not done on
I can hardly hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things that, here, I could increase the gain. What about now?
Better.
So yeah, one of the things that I notice whenever I look at addicts in psychedelic studies is that they're mostly done on healthy individuals, normal, healthy individuals. And they're known to essentially...
Are there any left?
Any left what?
Normal, healthy people. Who's normal? I don't even know what normal is anymore.
Well, it's all relative, so...
It's probably your relatives might be normal, but not mine anyway.
Well, that's the thing, So the studies are made to essentially make the good better or make the normal...
Right, I know what you're saying.
Exactly, and, like, whenever you do a study on addicts, AA, Alcoholic Anonymous, was made by somebody who did psilocybin, right? Or I think it was mescaline. He was a guy who was on,
LSD it was.
Yeah, he was struggling with alcoholism. He takes LSD and he's like, "Oh my God, I found the cure. I don't feel the need to drink anymore."
I believe psychedelics done in the right venue can definitely help people. Plant medicine can help them, but it has to be done in a certain way. Yeah. Not, like I said, recreational. It's not a fun drug. People say, I want to keep doing it because I'm learning so much. No. The plant medicine is to show you or reflect on who you are inside your soul. Then it's your job to start doing the work. See, we know what we do wrong and right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just that we don't bother. All right. Yeah. And we blame everybody. I always tell people, look, You can blame people all day long, but the bottom line, you have to look at your side of the street. What did you do?
Yeah.
What decisions did you make that caused this to happen?
Yeah, and it's so
She
easy to
made me do
rationalize.
it. No, nobody makes you do anything.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
do it because you choose to do it. That's what we call free will.
Yeah.
Get a little religious.
Well, no, I mean that's the idea, like the problem with addicts and just people in general is that we could rationalize our way so easily out of everything, right?
Oh, yeah, well, that's listen, let me tell you something. Most people don't realize that you have to turn inward to learn how to deal with outward.
Yeah.
And listen, we're all basically the same. We want to be loved, we want to be wanted, we want to be understood, we want to be respected. We want to please. We really want to be pleased and please others.
Yeah.
It's just what human nature is all about. But there's so much stuff that gets in the way. All these prejudices. I hope one day, instead of calling black, white, Asian, I call us earthlings. So when the aliens make themselves known, they'll be calling us earthlings. And there's the dark earthlings. There's the brown earthlings. There's the white earthlings. Well, we're going to be earthlings.
Yeah.
All this prejudice stuff is nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. We're talking about one of the things that I've noticed throughout my life is that every time I've tried to make an external change, as you're saying, every time I try to do something outwardly, it never works out because it's me trying to make an outward change that eventually.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, you're all right.
Okay, I had to yell at my son-in-law with the baby yelling and screaming in the background.
No, it's all right. You know what? I'm at the moment so hyper focused that I barely even.
I'm hyper focused listening to them.
But yeah, I mean that's one of the things. I noticed that like every single outward change that I've tried to make in my life is just completely failure. It just doesn't work. And if it does work, it's because it eventually makes an inward change, and that's what sticks.
Well, one of the things that I suggest that people do is meditation.
Yep, I do that every morning.
Really important, okay? Mm-hmm. And if you meditate and you turn inward and get out all the noise, okay, you start to see things differently in life. Meditation has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Thousands, yeah.
Well, I say hundreds, it's easier, so I don't have to quote thousands. But, and there's different kinds of meditation. Whatever, floats your boat is what I say. I know a number of different kinds.
Yeah.
And, you got to just take care of yourself. At this age, at your age especially, work out, do your best to eat as best you can. Don't stress the small stuff. First of all, if you don't have your health, money doesn't matter. Nothing matters. I had a friend of mine that was kind of tight with his money. He's a multimillionaire. Okay. He went to a funeral, right? And I said, "Hey, Mike, look in the hole there." So he looks at the hole. He goes, "It's a hole where they're going to put the casket." I said, "You see any cars, diamonds, money down there?" So he cursed at me. He said, "Oh, okay." So I think a couple of months later, he bought a $2 million home, bought a $350,000 car. He was never that way with himself, always cheap with himself.
Yeah.
But because we had that conversation, he woke up and said, "Listen, when you die, everybody else is going to spend your money."
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, it seems like he's figuring it out because, of course, a lot of that stuff is external. But he's starting to realize, okay, I should probably live now.
Yeah, listen, let me tell you something. Enjoy every moment, not every day, every moment, because from one moment to another, things change. It could be radical too.
One of the big things that I've noticed amongst people that are successful, and I want to see if you have something like this. A lot of people say every morning, today, if I die today, or, essentially what if I die tonight, and sort of visualize that idea so that they really soak in the moments of the day.
So they really what?
So they soak in the moments of the day. Do you do anything of that?
I don't have to say that. I soak in the moments of the day anyway. But I have to say when I die. How about when I live? But listen, everyone's going to die. Okay, no one gets out alive. That's number one. Okay, but if you instead of focusing on your death, why don't you focus on your life, helping other people? I want to see. I want to. To me, I'm living a legacy for my kids. Look, my you didn't read the book yet. When you read the book, it said my family was a mafia family. My uncle killed a caterer at my wedding. He was a hitman.
Wow.
Because he insulted him. I was molested when I was a kid. My father was a heroin dealer. He went to jail when I was 8. I mean, I tell people I only went to school in the 9th grade. I couldn't spell very well. Well, thanks God for a spell check. But, all the things that happened, I was homeless, and how I turned $300 into $45 million.
So that's my question, right? So you were an addict. How long were you an addict for?
Started doing drugs at 20, and I went to treatment when I was 37.
So a big, before the beliefs of neuroplasticity, and I hear my friends say this all the time, 17 years. You were addicted for 17 years, essentially destroying your brain, making your brain wired completely wrong, and, well, really going on the wrong path neurochemically as well as just behaviorally. How'd you turn it around? And explain to people how it's possible to actually turn it around, even if you want to make that switch at 37.
Well, one of the things I always laugh about when I'm doing therapy with kids, they go, oh, but you don't know my family. I said, I tell you what, I'll loan you my family for a while. Let me know how you do. Well, you don't understand. I didn't go to school. I'm embarrassed. I said, well, I only went to the 9th grade. Now what do you want to talk about? Yeah. And I just go down the list with them. I used to think I was cursed when I got molested and all the things that happened to me. And you see how you turn it around. Well, I didn't even think I had a problem. You see, first of all, I was a karate champion. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I'm a grandmaster in the martial arts, right?
Yep. 10th level.
Yeah, so the Black Belt Hall of Fame, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, the bottom line is that how did I turn it around? I didn't think I had a problem. I didn't go to treatment because I wanted to go to treatment. I went to treatment because my family, and I told you who my family was, right?
Yep.
Did an intervention on me. So they're telling me I need to go to treatment. I'm going, well, what about them? They need to go to treatment.
Yeah.
So my mother got upset and says, look, John, if you don't stop, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. And my mother wasn't like that. So I said, you know what? I'll take a break. Let me get everybody off my back. Okay. And I had a little Coke in my sock. I went to the bathroom. I did a couple of bumps on that. And then I went into treatment. And I didn't even know why I was there. My luggage, I never unpacked my suitcase. So I always used to fight with them. And I used to go to the elevator to leave. Then they used to pull me back and they used to put me here, put me there in the counselor's office.
Yeah.
Right? But I remember being in a group and they said to me, you got to share your dark secrets or what's holding you back. And I said, if I do that, I have to kill you. Because you see, I became like my family. I used to do collection work for the smugglers. I was a drug dealer.
Yeah.
I used to teach one of the cartel's bodyguards in Colombia. I mean, I did a lot of crazy stuff. That's why the book, The Kid from the South Bronx Who Never Gave Up, should read it. It's my life story. It gets really interesting. It's funny and crazy. But anyway, when I was in treatment, it was Christmas time. I wanted to go home during Christmas Eve to spend it with my family, which was bullshit, plain English. Okay, because my friends used to come over the house and give me a Christmas card with Coke in it. So that's what I was really going for.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got real angry at them that they wouldn't let me go home for Christmas. Okay. And when I got angry, I didn't just get angry, I got rageful. And it never just went away. Took a day sometimes, took a couple of hours sometimes. Okay. And I went back in the room, I punched the door, really pissed off, throwing shit around the room. Right. And my therapist is in my head going, hey, John, do you ever pray on your knees? And I remember telling him, I said, listen, I'm a recovering Catholic. What do you mean pray on my knees? Yeah. That's all we did. I got calluses on my knees. Right. So he says, no, for humility. I said, give me a break. I mean, God doesn't listen to you. How about if I'm in the closet? You think he hears me? So, I was pissed off at God too, by the way, whatever God was. Anyway, I said, well, you know what? Let me try this. And I went to put my knee down. I noticed it may sound a little strange. I couldn't get my knee down. And I had to push my knee down, which freaked me out to begin with. Then I couldn't get my other knee down. I pushed that knee down. For the first time in my life, I said, whoever's out there or whatever this is, please take this away, whatever you want me to do.
Yeah, humility.
And it went away, Nick. It went away. That's not what happens to me. So I'm so sick, I try to get it back. Try to get pissed off again. Couldn't do it. So that's what I call my spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
And then my second awakening was almost the last week of treatment. I had what is known as exiting. Exiting is when the nurses, the doctor, the counselors, they bring you in a room and they give an evaluation of you if you need long-term treatment or some more treatment, or you can leave.
Okay.
So the doctor said, John's doing real well. The nurses, therapists, everybody says he's doing great. And one of the head doctors, the one that's the head of the program, said, he's full of shit. Just like that. Well, let me tell you, the demon came out of the body. I said, listen, I don't know if I can say this, but you fat bitch, how dare you talk to me that way? I can kill all of you in this room and nobody will be able to get out alive. But one of the doctors, that's how stupid I was. Anyway, one of the doctors turned around, he says, John, all we want to do is help you. And I started to cry and I ran out of the room as I felt this small, like I was inside my shoes and my shoes were running out of the room.
Yeah.
Right. And from that day on, I changed. And I didn't believe anything they told me, but I just did it. They said, go to meetings every day, 90 meetings in 90 days. And I says, I won't even get high with these people. Why am I going to these meetings? I want to use when I hear them talk. Keep going, John. So I said, well, when is it going to get better? They said, did you use today? I said, no, it already got better.
Yeah.
And I just kept going. I didn't go 90 days. I went a year and a half.
Wow.
And I still go to meetings. Now with COVID, now it's a mess, but, and I got a sponsor, but I never used them. All right. I was looking good, not being good. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they said, don't make any major decisions in your life for the first year, which I didn't. And I wound up getting divorced because my wife was still using. And she was asking me if I wanted to do some coke. And that didn't work for me. And then I got divorced. That's when I lost everything. And I ended up homeless. I was in a hotel room when I had a bicycle and somebody loaned me in a jar. And then it goes on and on and on. And then how I opened up treatment centers and opened up another treatment center. I got my GED and went back to school. All because of recovery. And when they say beyond your wildest dreams, and I never thought I'd become a multimillionaire in a million years.
Yeah.
If you would have told me that early on, I probably would have punched you in the face. You better make fun of me.
Yeah.
So all things are possible.
It's just crazy to see. Like, okay, 37 years old. Like at that point, like there would be so many people saying, all right, he's done. Like he's got no chance, right? It's over, right? It's just, man, like to first of all see that you made it to 75, right? You changed you were probably on a path where you were going to die probably between like 40 and 60.
Listen, let me tell you something. I used to work out smoking a cigarette, hitting the heavy bag. When I was doing coke, I would go in the sauna, high as a kite, trying to come down from the coke so I could do more coke. All right. Wow. I was doing collection work for the smugglers, putting my life on the line constantly. I mean, crazy stuff. But then on the other side of the fence, okay, I was teaching police departments. I was helping kids. I did a number of things.
While you're an addict?
Well, while I was an addict, I did 8 plays in the Theater of Performing Arts. I had my own television show on PBS. Read the book. You'll see the pictures of the television show. You'll see everything. I did... like I said, 8 plays in the Theater of Performing Arts in downtown Miami there. Miami Beach, like Jackie Gleason's theater, which is now the Performing Arts Theater. I did kabuki theater and with storytelling. I wrote it up. I had a guy backstage, one of my friends telling the story, and we wove karate demonstrations in the program for a young Chinese monk wanting to become a monk, Shaolin monk.
Yeah.
And we had a whole storyline, people hitting the audience. I had standing room only.
Wow. Okay.
And also, while I was using, I threw a concert with James Brown. All right. What happened is that I worked for a flea market. Right. I was using, but not every day. I was using, periodically on the weekend, sometimes not, sometimes yes. Okay. And they wanted a big grand opening. So a friend of mine knew that I worked for before, this guy, Gary LeConte, who used to own, his family owned the Agora Ballrooms in Akron, Ohio there. I worked as a bouncer, had a security team that worked in the Agora Ballroom in Hallandale. Anyway, I called up Gary and he says, look, the perfect person is James Brown, because I was in Liberty City in Overtown, which is in a Black community, and it was right after the riots in 1980-81, right? So I said to the guys that owned it, it was a flea market with 1,000 businesses under one roof. And I says, look, we have to have a theme, and let's have the theme. We're revitalizing Liberty City and Overtown. I got in touch with the SBA people, Small Business Association, taught people how to run businesses, how to buy wholesale. I went to all the churches, dancing with the church and singing with all the Black churches and stuff. And I said, well, I want to invite President Reagan to come to the grand opening of our flea market. So everybody laughed at me, right? They said, John, Reagan's not going to come to the flea market. I said, oh, you never know. Well, I got a letter, which I have in my office from the White House, stating that the president, sorry that he couldn't show up, okay, but he's sending a representative. Now, I don't know if you know about government. Before they send anybody, they really check you out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they checked me out, and I used to teach karate in the community. All right. And I used to help a lot of the kids, but my drug addiction was separate, quiet. Okay. Yeah. So they sent Carrie Meeks, and Carrie Meeks, who was state representative, now she's Senator Meeks, came, and she went and she checked me out, and she went to the Martin Luther King Foundation, and they came and on stage in front of 60,000 people, gave me the Martin Luther King Award for helping the Black community. Wow. And when I tell people there was that many people, come on, John. I said, so I take them at the video, which nobody has, and I put it on my computer, and they go, oh my God, because it was a giant parking lot. I mean, tremendous parking lot. As far as your eye can see in every direction and behind the stage, a sea of people.
Wow. And that was before James Brown performed.
And James Brown was performing. Yeah. So I became friends with James. I did a lot of things. Well, James was a coke addict,
Yeah. Yeah. You have any productivity tips, balance tips, life tips? Because it seems like you do pretty much everything.
Yeah, I do. I'm also a chaplain for the North Miami Police Department.
I know.
It's crazy. I know, but
well, that's
I'm just telling. I know you know, but I'm just telling your audience.
So how do you do it? So how do you do all everything that you do and balance it into the time that you have?
You want to know the truth? I don't know. I just do it. I get in my mind. My problem is if I think of doing something, problem is I do it. Right now they just put me on the advisory board of $1 billion project that they're putting 7 floors of alternative medicine in this building they're building.
Yeah.
And then they have the rest as condos and hotels. So they're bringing in alternative medicine from all over the world to teach people so we could change the way medicine is done.
And you just signed up. You were like, yeah.
No, they asked me. And then I signed up.
You're like, yeah.
They says, John, would you be on the advisory board? I says, absolutely.
Man.
Things happen. I just got nominated into the Warriors Hall of Fame, which was really cool. 50 grandmasters from all over the world were nominated into this Hall of Fame. And we were on Zoom. So every person that got nominated got on Zoom and thanked everybody. There were people from Taiwan, from Vietnam, from Asia, from Africa, from Germany, grandmasters from all over the planet. I'm in this Black Belt Hall of Fame. It was so cool. Wow. And my friend, Ronnie Van Cleef, was a Black Dragon. Look him up. He did movies with Bruce Lee and Well, I have friends and all kinds of people, but that's my latest. I think when you get older, they keep giving you awards and putting you in places. I don't know. Listen, I could tell you one thing I would tell people: never give up. Never listen to anybody else's fears or stories that you can't do something. When I opened up my treatment center with $300 in a little 750 square foot room, people were laughing at me, saying, "Oh yeah, go to Giordano. He's going to give you a vitamin and cure you." And that's not what I was saying, but that's what they thought.
Yeah.
And now they ask me what I do. So,
wow. I think that's a perfect place to end it. John Giordano, thank you. And yeah, let everybody know where they could find you. Tell them about your books. I find this.
They can go to my website, Giordano.com. You'll see the books, television shows on there, some of the research, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Wow. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I really loved hearing your story.
Oh, we're trying to do a movie of me now. So that's what I'm working on now.
A movie where?
Of my life story.
Like, who's running it? Is this like Disney?
Well, I've got it. A few of my students. One of my students is Brett Ratner. I don't know if you know who that is.
No.
I'm sure you saw Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
And Tower Heist and those movies.
I've never seen Tower Heist.
Oh, well, you saw Rush Hour with Jackie Chan and all that, right?
Yep.
He's the director.
Wow.
So he was one of my students when he was 6 years old.
Wow. Well, so they're making a movie about you. That sounds like a pretty good
I'm trying to get a movie to be made about me. So I'm going in and I'm trying to get my friends to see if they can do this.
Wow. Well, that'll be
I want to help kids, man. I want to show them never give up and nothing's impossible, no matter who your family is, no matter where you came from or what happened to you.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great message. So, John Giordano, thank you for coming on. This was wonderful.
Oh, thanks for having me, Nick.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Nick Lugo Show with John Giordano. To support this podcast, please give me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And so I'll leave you with a quote by Randy Pausch, also known as the man who did The Last Lecture. If you haven't heard of it, check it out. Brick walls are there for a reason. They let us prove how badly we want things. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you again next time.